It was brought up, the Mayo study, I think you put that to rest. I was just reading an article from Harvard, because we keep referring to the FDA as this enlightened entity. Yet over the last 10 years, 14,000 drugs that they approved were recalled. So to hold the FDA up as a standard, can you talk to, and I know you mentioned it earlier, but I had dug out for another hearing, the reluctance for the FDA to remove any, claims to this thing, or they're doing the same thing with marijuana, not declassifying even though it's legal in how many states. What is the holdup with the FDA? And can you talk to the percentage of drugs that they have approved and recalled? Like I said, I know the Harvard study said 14,000 in the last 10 years. That's a lot of drugs.
I work with the FDA every day. I've been involved in dozens and dozens of drug approvals, and I'm really proud of that. Most of them serve people. Mistakes are made sometimes in approval. It's always a balancing act. Are as FDA moving too quickly or too slowly? In the area of dietary supplements, FDA opposed DSHEA in 1994. FDA thought everything that was dietary should be an approved drug or not on the market. DSHEA created a pathway for people like my wife who prefer dietary ingredients and natural products and use drugs when she has to. FDA is not comfortable with that. FDA has said, well, the Kratom should be developed as a drug. Well, guess what? That's roughly a 10-year, billion-dollar process, and you end up with a refined product that isn't like the original and isn't something my wife would use. Or they say, go the botanical drug route. There have been 800 applications for that. 2 have been approved in 15 years. I've worked on several, and they all failed and bailed out. I don't understand the hang-up. I know that not everybody at FDA is in agreement with that policy.
If I could just add on the FDA, in 2018, when the recommendation by the FDA to the Drug Enforcement Administration to schedule Kratom was withdrawn by the Assistant Secretary for Health, the question was whether that would be made public, because we as an advocacy organization didn't know about it. We didn't know about it for 2.5 years. And the reason is the FDA told the Assistant Secretary for Health's office they were invoking the FOIA restriction on ongoing regulatory review. And it took Congressman Mark Pocan with a Republican colleague from Virginia to do a FOIA request, a direct request to HHS to get that letter. A month after that revocation withdrawal actually occurred, then FDA Commissioner Gottlieb was on the public airwaves claiming Kratom was an opioid. And he knew that letter, that rescission letter, had decried that, it had refuted that. And yet he did it anyway. So the FDA, unfortunately, has not been honest with the American public with respect to Kratom. And we think it's time for the sunlight to come in, good regulations, and let's protect American consumers.